RWBY, Sparks of Change. Chapter 2. The Winds of Vacuo.
The desert winds whipped around us, carrying with them the dust and warmth of Vacuo. It felt like a world completely different from the ever after, a place where the sun was relentless and the ground beneath our feet was dry, cracked, and unforgiving. But as we made our way through the bustling streets of the city, something familiar began to settle in my chest, a sense of purpose. "We're almost there," Ace said with a grin, his quills swaying lightly in the breeze. He was leading us through the labyrinthine streets of Vacuo, and though the place was far from my comfort zone, I felt a glimmer of hope in the air. We had found our friends, Ren and Nora, and now we were about to make our way to the college that Ace had mentioned. "So how far are we from this place?" John asked, his voice filled with curiosity. He had been keeping an eye on the surroundings, a little too aware of the desert's heat and the stark unfamiliarity of it all. Ace shrugged with a playful glint in his eye. "Not too far. You'll get a good look at how Vacuo does things. It's not exactly what you might expect." He paused and turned to glance at all of us, his tone shifting slightly. "It's a place for the strong, and it's seen its fair share of conflict." We all exchanged looks. After everything we'd been through, a little more conflict didn't sound like it would shake us. But the way Ace said it made me pause. What did he mean by that? "You said the college was a safe place," Blake spoke up, her voice steady but sharp. "What exactly happens there?" Ace's eyes twinkled with a mischievous glint. "It's a place of training, yeah, but it's also a place where people learn the value of power. Not just strength in battle, but power over themselves, their emotions, and their beliefs." He smiled at us knowingly. "Think of it as a place of growth." I couldn't tell if that was a warning or just an attempt at intrigue, but one thing was certain. Vacuo wasn't a place for the faint-hearted. The people here had survived harsh conditions, and it seemed like they expected everyone to be the same. Ren stepped forward, adjusting the strap of his weapon on his back. "We're all ready to face whatever comes next," he said firmly, his usual calm demeanor unwavering. Nora nodded enthusiastically beside him, clearly thrilled to be back with all of us. There was no doubt in her voice, only excitement. "We'll be fine," she added with a grin, elbowing Ren lightly. "This place is nothing we can't handle." I smiled at their optimism. As much as we had changed, that spark of camaraderie, of hope, remained. It was a reminder that no matter where we went, no matter the odds, we could handle anything together. "I'm glad you're so confident," I said, trying to match their enthusiasm, though my mind couldn't shake the doubts that lingered in the back of my head. "But we need to stay alert. We still don't know who else is here or what they want." "Wise words, Ruby," Weiss added, her gaze sweeping the horizon. "We're in unfamiliar territory, but we've come this far, right?" I nodded, taking a deep breath. The desert sun beat down on us, but I could feel the cool breeze from the direction Ace was leading us. We were all together again, and that was what mattered most. Ace suddenly stopped and turned toward us, his smile widening as he saw our readiness. "This way," he said, gesturing toward a towering structure in the distance. "The college is just ahead. You'll get your first real taste of Vacuo's way of life there." We followed him through the winding streets, the city around us alive with movement, people haggling, trading goods, and exchanging stories. The streets of Vacuo felt different than anything I had ever experienced, both harsh and inviting, as if the land itself had a story to tell if you were willing to listen. As we approached the college's gates, towering high above us, I couldn't help but feel the weight of the unknown pressing in. The city may have been vast and teeming with life, but the college loomed ahead like a fortress, a symbol of strength, a place where the strongest would rise, but the weak would falter. I looked over at my teammates, my friends, and saw the same determination in their eyes that had kept us going through every trial. No matter what awaited us inside the college, I knew that we would face it together. Ace turned back to us, his face serious now. "Stay alert, all right? The college isn't just a place for learning. It's a place where people come to prove themselves. Some might see you as outsiders, others might see you as rivals. Don't let your guard down." I gave him a steady nod. "We'll be fine. Thanks, Ace." He gave us one last smile before leading us through the gates, and as we stepped forward, I couldn't help but feel the winds of change swirling around us. Vacuo was a new beginning, but it was also a test of everything we had become. As the gates closed behind us, I knew one thing for sure: whatever came next, we were ready for it.
Hey, Kirito! Did you hear about that new podcast?
What new podcast, Asu?
It's called the Tiger Nexus Podcast, run by Ty Tiger.
Hold on. I know that name. He's the guy behind Tiger Tales on YouTube, right?
Yep, that's right. And now he's launched his own podcast where he interviews content creators and nerds of all kinds.
No way, that sounds so cool. What's the name of the podcast again?
The Tiger Nexus Podcast. You can find it on all major podcast platforms.
Hold up, he's had Cosplay Dude 637 on there? That's amazing!
I know, right? He's also interviewed A-Crown, Mark the Red Corners Ranger, and many others.
I am totally subscribing to the Tiger Nexus podcast. I don't want to miss anything.
Tune into the Tiger Nexus Podcast by Ty Tiger for fascinating interviews with your favorite content creators and nerds. Find it wherever you get your podcasts. Don't miss out.
We were Team RWBY, and we had faced the impossible before. This time would be no different. As Ace led us through the dusty streets of Vacuo, the city began to shift. The chaotic, bustling markets and narrow alleyways gave way to grander structures, towering above us with their jagged architecture, a testament to Vacuo's harsh yet beautiful landscape. The buildings were made of sandstone, their walls weathered and scarred by years of relentless sun and sandstorms, but they had withstood the test of time. Finally, we reached the gates of Shade Academy. Standing tall before us, the academy loomed like a beacon in the middle of the desert, a place where warriors, scholars, and survivors alike were forged into something greater. It was a far cry from the polished halls of Beacon, yet I could see the same determination in its design. The academy represented strength, resilience, and knowledge. This was where the future of Vacuo was being shaped. "This is Shade Academy," Ace said, his voice full of pride. "It's where the best and brightest come to learn, and where many of the kingdom's strongest individuals train. The leaders of Vacuo are based here, and they will be expecting you." The weight of his words hung in the air. The leaders of Vacuo? We had been through so much already, and now we were about to meet those who led this kingdom. I wasn't sure if I was ready for this, but we had no choice. It was time to face whatever came next. Ace led us through the entrance, the stone gates groaning open with a deep ancient sound. Inside, the academy grounds were vast, with tall trees providing some shade and a peaceful atmosphere amidst the arid surroundings. I couldn't help but admire the tranquility here. It was hard to believe this place existed in the heart of such a harsh land. As we walked through the courtyard, I could see groups of students practicing combat, engaging in friendly sparring matches, or working together in groups. The air was thick with the hum of their training, and I could sense their focus and discipline. This was a kingdom that thrived on survival and strength, traits we had learned to embody ourselves. Ace led us into a large building at the center of the academy, where we were greeted by a few guards who led us down a long corridor. The stone walls were adorned with banners representing Vacuo's many factions, and the further we went, the more I felt the weight of what we were about to face. Finally, we reached a grand hall where several figures were already waiting. Their eyes turned to us as we entered, and I felt the weight of their gaze. These were the leaders of Vacuo, the ones who ruled this harsh land and had been entrusted with its future. Among them was Professor Lionheart, the headmaster of Shade Academy, a tall man with broad shoulders and a stern expression. He was flanked by several other prominent figures, including Ciel Soleil, a fierce warrior with an air of elegance, and Sable Aurelia, a strategic mastermind whose eyes gleamed with intelligence. They all regarded us with a mixture of curiosity and intrigue. Ace stepped forward, giving a slight bow. "These are the newcomers I mentioned. They've had quite the journey, and they have much to share with us. I felt the eyes of the leaders on me, their expectations weighing heavily in the room. This was it. I was about to recount everything that had happened in the ever after lands, everything we had faced, everything we had lost, and everything we had learned. Professor Lionheart stepped forward, his voice commanding yet welcoming. I understand you have a story to tell. Please, take a seat and recount your journey. We will listen. The others made room for us at a large round table, and I felt the weight of the moment press down on me. It was time. I took a deep breath, my hands clasped tightly in front of me, as I prepared to relive the most surreal and confusing experience of my life. I began slowly, my voice steady but tinged with emotion. It all started when we were trapped in a strange, alternate version of Remnant. The Ever After, as we called it. It was a place where time didn't make sense, where reality itself seemed to warp around us. We fought against creatures unlike anything we've ever seen before, and we encountered strange, powerful beings who seemed to be both allies and enemies. I glanced around at my teammates, each of them silently supporting me as I continued. The hardest part was the uncertainty. We didn't know how we were supposed to survive or how to get back, but through it all, we had each other, and in the end, we discovered a way out, though it came at a cost. We lost some people, some of the allies we thought we could trust, but in the end, we returned to this world, and now we're here in Vacuo, ready to face whatever comes next. The room was quiet as I finished, the weight of my words hanging in the air. I could feel the gaze of the leaders on me, each of them processing the gravity of what we had been through. It was a lot to take in, but we had made it, and now we were here to find out what came next. Professor Lionheart's voice broke the silence, low and thoughtful. What you've described sounds like nothing short of a trial by fire. You've shown strength in ways few could ever comprehend. He paused, his eyes scanning each of us. Vacuo has always valued strength. But strength comes not just from fighting, but from surviving, from adapting, and from learning. You've done all of that. Ciel Soleil gave a nod of approval. I can see that you've earned your place here. We'll make sure you have everything you need as you adjust to life in Vacuo. But know this, we're all shaped by the trials we face, and you will be tested just as we have been. Sable Aurelia's voice was sharp, filled with strategic calculation. But I also hope you know this. You may have escaped the Ever After, but there are other threats waiting for you in Vacuo, and this land does not give second chances. I could feel the weight of her words, but there was a glimmer of something else in her eyes, something that spoke of understanding. The leaders of Vacuo were no strangers to hardship, to sacrifice, to loss. They saw in us something that resonated with them. I stood a little taller, the fire in me igniting once more. We've been through the fire, I said, my voice steady, and we've come out stronger. We'll face whatever comes next together. That's the only way we know how to fight. Professor Lionheart nodded, his gaze softening. Then welcome to Vacuo. You're here now, and we will help you. But remember, strength doesn't just come from battle, it comes from unity, from what we build together. As the conversation continued, I felt a sense of clarity wash over me. This was a new chapter. We weren't just survivors anymore. We were ready to face whatever came next, and we would do it together as a team.
What you have just listened to is a product created by the Three Ranger Bros Studio.
Hosted by three cosplaying fathers who
happen to be massive geeks of all sorts of fandoms.
They are Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger,
Cosplay Dude 637,
and Ty Tiger.
The studio covers different types of YouTube videos, TikToks, podcasts, and live streams.
If you wish to find out who cosplays who, the YouTube channels, the TikTok accounts, and the podcasts, and all of the other social media platforms,
please go to the3rangerbrostudios.com.
What you have just listened to is a product created by the Three Ranger Bros Studio.
Hosted by three cosplaying fathers who
happen to be massive geeks of all sorts of fandoms.
They are Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger,
Cosplay Dude 637,
and Ty Tiger.
The studio covers different types of YouTube videos, TikToks, podcasts, and live streams.
If you wish to find out who cosplays who, the YouTube channels, the TikTok accounts and the podcasts, and all of the other social media platforms,
please go to the 3rangerbrostudios.com.